Live, local, late breaking. This is Newswatch 12 Breaking News.
Breaking news coming into our newsroom this morning. Democratic former Speaker Nancy Pelosi won't seek re-election to the U.S. House. Thank you for joining us for Newswatch 12 this morning. I'm Carlos Murrieta. Pelosi's announcement brings her career to an end as not only the first woman in the Speaker's office, but arguably the most powerful in American politics. Pelosi has represented San Francisco for nearly 40 years. Pelosi's decision comes after she helped lead California's Prop 50 redistricting effort, and it also comes as a seasoned generation of political leaders is stepping aside. Pelosi was an architect of the Affordable Care Act and other landmark policies. And now we're going to go ahead and take a live look out at Ashland from the Oregon Shakespeare Festival, where we're starting to see that sunrise. Let's go ahead and check in with Storm Tracker 12 meteorologist Sarah Kress for a look at our Thursday. And Sarah, I know we're able to see the sky there, but are we also tracking rain this morning?
Oh, we're definitely tracking rain. And some showers are with us this morning, but most of that rain is going to be arriving later this morning for us. But light showers, if you are at the door, you could encounter those this morning, especially to those higher elevations, the coastal mountain ranges. Some areas into Siskiyou County, but in general, is looking like it is on the drier side this morning. That short break is going to be, like I said, very short because that next system is finally working its way in, and it's going to move in by the time we're late morning and especially into the afternoon for us. So the break in the action is this morning. Expect more wet and blustery conditions later today, but we'll see showers wrap up by the time we get into our Friday afternoon, and it is going to be a bit drier for us ending out your work week. This morning, we also are tracking out some impacts to your commute, which is including some areas of fog into our west side valleys, mainly into that Medford area. So maybe planning some extra time for your commute. I'm not expecting this to last too long as we're starting to see that next system work its way in. But here's a look out at Medford right now. Definitely going to run across some areas of that patchy fog into these areas. Not going to be too fun driving through. Now, like I mentioned, we're also tracking out some gustier winds today, but notice we're not seeing those gusts quite as strong as what we saw earlier this week. We will be seeing those gustier conditions along the coast, higher terrain, and a bit breezier into the Shasta Valley today and even into our west side valleys, but will settle a bit by the time we head later tomorrow. Now, the temperatures this morning are starting off a little bit chilly, but their highs will be pretty normal for this time of year. I'll have a closer look at what you can expect with the timing of the system coming up in your next forecast.
And taking a look at some of the storm damage that took place yesterday, Oak Knoll Golf Course in Ashland is temporarily closed to clear debris. Ashland Parks and Rec says the golf course has hopes to reopen in the coming days. However, the driving range will remain closed due to more extensive damages. The golf course is working to assess the full impact and will provide updates as they become available. And moving into our top story, at 37 days, the government shutdown is now considered the longest in U.S. history, breaking the record set during President Trump's first term. This morning, a new warning that thousands of flights across the country are about to be canceled. In Newswatch and ABC's Nicole D'Antonio has the details.
This morning, the government shut down reaching day 37 and putting a growing strain on air travel. The FAA reducing flight capacity by up to 10%, impacting thousands of domestic flights at nearly 40 major airports by this weekend. ABC News overnight exclusively obtaining the list of the 40 airports that will be affected, from Hartsfield-Jackson in Atlanta to LAX in Los Angeles, and from Miami to JFK in New York.
This is about where is the pressure and how do we alleviate the pressure.
It comes as air traffic controllers and TSA officers go nearly 6 weeks without pay and are now increasingly calling out sick. In the meantime, FAA employees warn the impacts on air safety could get worse the longer the shutdown drags on.
We wish to stay vigilant, and we want to, and we have every intent to, but at some point, if it's between me and my pride versus my son going without, not eating, or my wife not being able to take her medication, I will be forced to make a decision.
Overnight, United Airlines saying it will offer refunds to anyone who does not wish to fly while the flight reductions are in effect. Frontier CEO going further, making this recommendation. If your flight is canceled, your chances of being stranded are high, so I would simply have a backup ticket on another airline. On Capitol Hill, cuts to Medicaid and healthcare subsidies are still the major sticking point, with both sides refusing to budge. And sources say the FAA will begin cutting 4% of flights tomorrow, will then ramp up to 10% of flights through this coming weekend if the government is still shut down. Nicole D'Antonio, ABC News, Washington.
This morning, nearly 5 million food stamp recipients will not receive any benefits in November under a plan the Trump administration issued to comply with a court order. The Department of Agriculture said that it would issue partial benefits this month by tapping into SNAP's contingency fund after 2 federal judges said the agency was required to do so. Some families receiving assistance make too much money to receive the partial benefits, according to an analysis. The courts also gave the USDA the option of shifting other money to SNAP in order to pay those full benefits in November, but the agency declined, citing risks to other nutrition programs. And as SNAP is temporarily suspended due to the shutdown, the Rogue Valley Growers and Crafters Market is launching a new emergency market money program. Now, this is to ensure residents continue to have access to food without interruption. This will also make sure that farmers and producers who supply the market still have a stable demand. RVGCM will offer $40 of market currency to shop at the farmers market, regardless of the balance on a person's SNAP card. This program will continue until federal SNAP payments resume or until funds are empty. And in Cave Junction, one woman's idea to cook a handful of meals for her community has grown into a lifeline for hundreds. 2.5 years ago, Laura Mancuso launched weekly pop-up meals at Jubilee Park after a local church that once offered free soup closed its doors. But now, more than ever, she says the need has quickly grown as SNAP benefits shrink.
I'm scared that people won't get the resources that they need to thrive and that the homeless count will go up.
As grocery prices climb and food assistance is at an all-time high in Cave Junction, Mancuso says that fear is growing. Tomorrow we'll take a closer look at 5:30 and 6:30 during Newswatch 12 this morning with Newswatch 12's Danny Stepanovich. And moving into a developing story, Governor Tina Kotek is announcing an agreement with the United Kingdom to enhance economic development and trade relations across seas. The Memorandum of Understanding says Oregon and the UK will use the relationship to create a more circular economy while protecting the environment. Priority areas highlighted in the document include transportation, technology, manufacturing, and tourism. A closer look at the signed agreement can be found on our website. Voice Your Vote, Jackson County is continuing to track remaining ballots that have not been counted in early returns of the unofficial special election voting results. 28% of Jackson County voters currently have their ballots counted in the special election. Unofficial results will not be updated until November 13th. But Jackson County Clerk Chris Walker says that the current voter turnout is on par with expectations.
I was figuring between 25 and 30%, and we are going to end somewhere right in that area. It just depends on how people, when we get the postmark ballots entered, and how people respond to our the signature challenge notices or the attestations that you forgot to sign your ballot envelope.
The current vote for Measure 15238 currently sits at 51.73% of voters choosing yes. A study session is set for November 12th to discuss the next steps of the Creekside Quarter project. And today at 2 p.m., Jackson County Emergency Management will be conducting an emergency alert test, and the test will take place along the I-5 corridor between the California-Oregon border and exit 14 near Ashland. The test is designed to simulate a winter storm or Siskiyou Summit closure to evaluate targeted alerting for affected travelers. Now, this is not a county-wide test, but people traveling in the test area during the exercise may receive an alert on their phones. And big changes are coming to Oregon State Parks in 2026, impacting many Southern Oregon visitors. Starting January 1st, Jackson County parking permits will no longer be valid at Oregon State Parks. The state says the change, along with higher parking fees and new dump station charges, is needed to cover rising costs and reduce lottery funding. Annual park passes will double from $30 to $60 for Oregon residents. Officials say the updates are crucial as the system faces a $14 million shortfall. Public comment on the changes runs December 1st through mid-January, and more details are on our website on kdrv.com. And moving into the School Watch, Phoenix High School is hosting its second Dia de los Muertos event. Fifth graders across Phoenix Town School District came to Phoenix High School to learn and celebrate Day of the Dead. Now, the event was organized by the school's Latino Student Union, a club for students to celebrate and learn more about the Latino culture. Angelica Mendoza has been the LSU advisor for 8 years and says it's important for younger kids to learn about cultural celebration at an early age.
Making sure that it's fun and an educational cultural experience for fifth graders, because education obviously about these things should be starting in elementary.
The ultimate outcome of the celebration was for students to be proud of their roots and where they came from.